and welcome to another edition of the David Tomsic Show, fighting tyranny one day at a time. Well, today we're going to talk about the U.S. economy. A lot of things are happening here. Some of them are scary. Now, with a new president, there's more uncertainty today than there's ever been. A lot of executive orders have been written. A lot of threats have been made. Tariffs have been placed on countries. All of these affect our economy and, of course, the stock market. Investors don't like uncertainty. So let's look at the markets. Now, the stock market wiped out all post-election gains. The S&P fell 1.3%, with more than 80% of the stocks in the benchmark index closing lower. Now, the NASDAQ composite slipped 0.4%. This tech-heavy index briefly reached a 10% decline, which is what the market considers to be a correction, but was saved by some of the big boys like NVIDIA, Microsoft, and other tech-heavy companies that kind of pulled it out of correction territory. Now, financial stocks, the S&P 500 and such, took some beating there as well. JP Morgan Chase fell 4%, while Bank of America fell 6.3%. As I said, investors cannot get a grip on what's happening in our economy, and especially what's happening in this emerging trade war with China, Mexico, Canada, and other countries. That's to be seen. So the next thing we got to look at is gross domestic product. Now, this measures basically everything we do here in the United States. It measures the strength of our economy. Now, the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta delivered their projections, their forecast, as of March 3rd, 2025. First quarter 2025 GDP growth estimate declined. They predict a minus 2.8% GDP for the first quarter of 2025. That's down from a negative 1.5% GDP. So basically, the Fed's saying that our GDP is going to collapse in the first quarter of 2025. Inflation climbed by 0.5% in January, while unemployment went up from 4% to 4.1% in January. Now, right off the bat, these indicators are meaningless. They're going to go up more than this, I believe, in 2025. A lot of the things we are starting to see are going to affect the economy later on in the year. More layoffs, and definitely once the tariffs take effect, and we're probably looking at 30 to 40 days, maybe 2 months, prices will go up on a lot of items or start to go up on items, and then you'll see inflation tick up. That's not a good sign for the American public who's already strapped out. Now let's look at why some of these things are going to happen. Trump's tariffs. Now, I've talked about this in other videos. Tariffs are really taxes, and I know a lot of people now understand what they are. Most of my viewers do, and for those of you who are new to this channel and maybe don't look at other channels, and I hope you don't, stay here. By the way, like, subscribe, and share my videos. I appreciate you. Tariffs are taxes, and the people who pay the taxes are the importers, the importing nation. So if you're taxing Canada 25% on a bottle of liquor, the person who pays that tariff, that tax, is the person buying it in the United States, a wholesaler, a distributor, whoever it is. They pass that cost on to whoever's next in line. Ultimately, it can reach you, the consumer, depending on how nice or the actual person selling the item is. A lot of people, as I've said before, might eat that cost, eat that extra cost. The problem is for how long? As other factors affect their business, at some point, everybody is going to have to pass that cost on to you, the consumer. So we're going to talk about tariffs, Trump's tariffs. How can they affect you with certain items? We're going to talk about a few of them items right now. Gas prices could go up 50 cents a gallon only in the Midwest. I'm not sure where else that oil is used. Canada and Mexico supply 70% of the crude oil imports to U.S. refineries. Just a caveat to this, there are different grades of oil, heavy oil, light oil, and I'm not sure how many in between. Refineries are designed to refine certain types of oil, usually just one type of oil. Heavy oil, for instance, would be one type of refinery. You can't just go put light crude in there and refine it. It can't be done. It has to be changed over, which takes a lot of money and time. So I wanted to put that caveat in there so that you don't go off on a reservation and say, all you have to do is drill, baby, drill. That's not how it works. If you're not sure how it works, go look at how oil is drilled and the types of oil there are and how they're refined. You can Google that pretty easily. Now, tariffs on Mexico and Canada could raise car prices by $3,000. That's because a lot of vehicles are made in Canada and Mexico and imported into the United States, and also a lot of automobile parts that we use to manufacture cars here in the U.S. come from Canada and Mexico. 25% tariff will definitely affect these. Now, this is another scary one. Tariffs on Mexico could raise food prices. They will raise food prices. Mexico is the biggest supplier of our vegetables. Nearly 60% of vegetables, fruits, and nuts are imported from Mexico to the U.S. Now, I want to also have a caveat here. A lot of people have told me then we can buy our own or grow our own. And that's not easy to do with the seasons we have and the amount we need. But on a sidebar, Mexico will be hurt. But now I'm hearing and understanding from what I'm reading that both Mexico and Canada are making deals in Europe and in China to sell their own products there. So China will buy a lot of these vegetables, fruits, and nuts directly from Mexico. They have a partner. That's what partners are for in trade. Just kind of giving you a caveat. Now, Canada, Mexico, and China imports comprise 50% of U.S. trade. So those of you that maybe are on a borderline of, are these tariffs a good idea? There was a guy at Panera, and I was there today, and he said, it's good for America. How do you react to that? See, personally, me, knowing it's not good for America, absolutely knowing it's not good for America, how was he actually brainwashed into believing this? I don't know. It's an indoctrination beyond what you saw in Nazi Germany back in 1940s. This is crazy. What's good for America is that everybody is equally able to purchase products at the best price you can. Everybody. Causing pain doesn't help anybody, especially since maybe 50% of Americans or more are living paycheck to paycheck. It probably is more. And I did not look up that number, but let's just suffice it to say, you know and I know that most people live paycheck to paycheck. Most people can't afford drastic increases in all these products. I just went through a few of them. It's going to affect everything. I digress. Now, I have an article. I'm going to finish this video with this article from Newsweek. U.S. recession warning issued by Economist who predicted 2008 financial crash. A mismatch between what the U.S. economy has been producing and what it now demands could lead the country into a recession by mid-2025. John P. Hussman, an economist who correctly predicted the 2000 and 2008 stock market bubbles, has warned. Nobody should be surprised if the U.S. economy is in recession by mid-year, he wrote on X. For 2 years in a row, economists have been wary of the U.S. economy sliding into a recession. While many feared a downturn in both 2023 and 2024, the country's real GDP, which measures the nation's growth, kept beating economists' expectations. Despite the resilience of the U.S. economy in post-pandemic years, the chance of a recession hitting the country hasn't been completely staved off. And I'm going to finish with what I think is the important thing. According to Hussman, recessions have occurred historically when a mismatch emerges between what the economy has been producing and what the economy now demands. As he wrote in a comment in December, the mismatches which lead to a recession can be driven by shifts in consumer preferences, interest-sensitive investments, technology, government spending, credit strains, or crisis like the pandemic. Disruptions triggered by these mismatches take time to resolve. Absent massive bailouts and deficit spending, Hussman said, my impression is that we may experience more than a bit of a mismatch and disruption in the next few years. Now, he's not the only economist that has predicted this. Others have chimed in on this particular topic. And now, I believe that we're looking at a very serious issue here because there are going to be mismatches in our economy. The trade war is a massive strain on the U.S. economy. It will cause a lot of these mismatches to occur. How they will be handled? Well, we're not going to be able to bail them out. See, the last recessions, we were able to bail out the U.S. economy by printing trillions of dollars in money, debt. But we're not going to be able to do that now because there's changes in the government. There's changes in how much debt we have and how much more we can actually print without getting into more trouble. So where does this leave us? This leaves us as consumers to be very careful about what we spend, what we buy. We have to be more frugal, no doubt about that, more frugal. And we have to start learning to save money. Right off the bat, American savings is down. And that's because we have a spending economy. Our economy is 80% about spending, right? I think it's 80%. It's a very high number. Now, is that a good idea? In my past videos on economics, I always say that's not a good idea. I always make the joke, it's a joke, that people have these rental units, right? These storage units that they have been built everywhere, and they're filled with people who put their junk in there. I truly believe, just like when you go by somebody that has a 2-car garage, but their car's parked outside all the time because the garage is full of junk. We buy junk. I've made fun of Wayfair many times, especially over Christmas. Wayfair. They want to sell everybody a new couch every month. Well, what do you do with the other 4 you have? If you can't throw them out or sell them, you store them in your storage unit. America has a problem. It has a spending problem. And we've never been able to hone it in. We've never been able to understand that maybe we shouldn't spend so much of our income on all the things we buy that we don't need. Now, I remember in 2021 I remember back in 2021 when people got their stimulus checks because of COVID. They went out and bought TVs. They literally sold out of TVs in many stores. People used their money to buy TVs but didn't pay their rent, didn't pay their car payment, and of course they got into deeper trouble. This is a problem with America. It's a spending problem. And I think Americans have to start adjusting for this country to really maintain stability, for its citizens to maintain stability. A savings is a great thing to have. I'm not talking investments. I'm talking savings. I'm talking being able to have money put away for that rainy day when your car breaks down and that bill is $3,000, or your water heater goes and that bill is $3,000, or your roof goes, or something happens that you need some extra cash that most people don't have anymore. They don't save it. They don't put it away. They spend it. So Americans, fellow Americans, subscribers, please keep that in mind. This economy is in flux right now. Nobody knows exactly what's going to happen. Nobody. This is just a warning from this particular economist. He's a good one. He's predicted these other problems with the economy in the past. Now, what happened in 2000 and 2008 when we had these basically recessions, these things can happen at a moment's notice. You won't have time to go save money. You won't have a time to basically prepare. Your time prepares now. Be forewarned that people really think there could be a recession this year. No harm in being ready. No harm in being prepared. Well, I hope this helped you out a little bit. God bless you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share my videos. Check out my shorts on YouTube, Facebook. And remember, God loves you. God bless you. And I'll see you next time right here on The David Tomsic Show. Have a good day.